Okay, so I'm going to kick this off now. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I think we're going to go ahead and kick off. Welcome. My name is Alex Schulberg. I am the NREL Prize Administrator for the Microbattery Design Prize, and we're really excited to have a great webinar today. Our hope is that by the end of today's presentation, you all will have all the information that you need to be successful in the second phase of the Microbattery Design Prize. We'll also have some time for questions and answers at the end of today's presentation. So all right, let's kick this off. So before we get into it, there's just a few housekeeping items of note that I wanted to point out and kind of go through the structure of today's webinar. As mentioned, there will be a Q&A session after this presentation, but if you have any questions during the presentation, please post them in the chat throughout. Also, for reference, this webinar is recorded and will be posted online. This will be a YouTube that is not open to the public, but you all will have a link so that you all can access this for later down the road in case you want to refresh yourself on any information we go over today. And you'll get notification of when that is available. In this webinar, Paul Sayers from the Department of Energy's Advanced Materials and Manufacturing Technology Office is going to be here to go over various items regarding this prize. And then there will be a brief overview of the Advanced Materials and Manufacturing Technologies Office, and then a brief overview of the American Made Challenges program, followed by an overview of this prize. Then we will go over eligibility, important dates, and then submission materials for the two different submissions that we have in this phase. And then we will have some time for Q&A. Okay, so I'm gonna hand it off to Paul, and he's gonna go over a couple things here regarding his office and this prize.
Thank you very much, Alec. Yeah, as he mentioned, I am Paul Sayers, coming to you live from the rather dreary looking building you can see in this picture, the Forrestal headquarters building in Washington, D.C. I'm a technology manager at the aforementioned Advanced Materials and Manufacturing Technologies Office, one of the applied R&D offices within the Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energies Office within the larger Department of Energy. Next slide, please. And just again, reviewing some of the context of the department's and my office's mission and how that relates down to the prize and the goals of the prize. You know, the Department of Energy, ours is the energy mission to improve the energy infrastructure of our nation, both on the supply and on the use side, maintaining U.S. innovation and competitiveness. And we view the manufacturing sector as a main driver for driving the clean energy future, both on the solutions side, providing the technologies that will revolutionize our energy infrastructure, and on the use side, as we continue our operations, continually being more efficient and lowering the energy demand of the industrial sector. Next slide, please. A little bit more about my office. Again, the overall vision of AMMTO, or AMTO as we like to say, shortening it, is to have a competitive U.S. manufacturing sector that is an accelerator of innovative materials and manufacturing technologies that supports in many respects a clean, decarbonized economy. And so we advance energy-related materials and manufacturing technologies, again, with the goal of driving domestic competitiveness and a rapid transition to a clean, decarbonized economy. I highly encourage everyone to visit our website for more information. The next slide provides some more high-level information about our major sort of areas of interest and areas of focus. But I highly encourage you to visit our website, where you can find more details not only about those specific areas of focus, but also you can get plugged into our listserv, where we regularly send out announcements about activities and funding opportunities, as well as exciting breakthroughs and opportunities for collaboration and partnership. Next slide, please.
Great. And all these slides will be provided to you all with the website links and all the links throughout this presentation after this webinar.
So the AMTO can be roughly, we have roughly 3 major portfolios. One, our next generation materials and processes, which looks at advanced processes such as additive manufacturing, composites manufacturing, as well as advanced processes for improving the performance of materials in harsh service conditions, digitization of manufacturing processes, for example, going into the smart manufacturing direction as well. And related to that, more advanced processes that can make more high performance materials, materials that can perform under a wider range of conditions and also have extended performance lifetimes under these more extreme conditions. Our other major portfolio is around secure and sustainable materials. A term that we use a lot that links to this is circular economy, not just recycling of technologies and materials, but all of the type activities, reuse, remanufacturing, et cetera, and really building these, making these new supply chain connections to make them circular instead of just materials draw refinement into products and then end of use into a landfill, for example. Related to that, sort of overlapping with that somewhat, there is a list of materials that the US government has identified as critical to the success of our nation and competitiveness. These are materials that are very, very important in critical technologies, and at the same time, ones that we do not currently have significant access to. We don't have access here domestically that meets the level of need. And so working on R&D to provide new solutions to alleviate that level of need and bring that down. That's our critical materials work. And then thirdly is our energy technology manufacturing and workforce portfolio. This Microbattery Design Prize falls under that portfolio, which, as you can see, energy conversion and storage, the manufacturing of these technologies is a focus area in that portfolio, as well as semiconductors, both ones that go into microelectronics as well as ones that go into power electronics, the systems that help improve our grid and improve the operations of many of the technologies that are critical. And then finally, the human piece, helping develop the future of the workforce across the board from at every level of workers, employees in manufacturing, workers, employees in the manufacturing centers, as well as the researchers developing the new technologies, as well as the future business and sort of industry leaders, entrepreneurial workforce. Next slide, please.
Great. I think that is the end of the AMTO slides.
That's the end of my first section. Back over to you, Alec.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick overview of the American-made challenges. The American-made challenge, this is a prize within the American-made challenges, and we're really proud to host the Microbattery Design Prize and happy to count it amongst our many prize challenges. For those of you that are unfamiliar, although you should be familiar now as you're all Phase 1 winners, the American-made program is powered by the Department of Energy and administered by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, where I work, to incentivize innovation through prizes, training, teaming, vouchers, and mentoring. The American-made program serves as a fast track to participating in the clean energy economy, connecting the nation's entrepreneurs and innovators to America's national labs and the private sector. The American-made program started 5 years ago with just one prize. Today, American-made has grown to over 70 unique prize challenges. We have over 450 participating organizations, and we have given out over 260 million in cash prizes and support. When we did this presentation the first time about a year ago for phase one, these numbers were much smaller, and we're really proud of that and all the growth that our program has had over the last few years. Thanks to rapid timelines and goals, prizes fast-tracked product development from years to months and enable rapid innovation cycles, creating partnerships that connect entrepreneurs to the private sector and to the U.S. Department of Energy and the national laboratories. Okay, so let's just jump into an overview of phase two of this Microbattery Design Prize. So the goal of phase two is to transform the winning phase one concepts into commercially relevant prototypes with testing data to validate performance and to build pathways to commercialization and manufacturing scale up. At the end of the second phase, up to one winning team will receive $300,000 in cash, and up to two runners-up will receive $175,000 in cash. In phase two, which we call test, competitors will submit a prototype for performance testing at Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, PNNL. You all will provide these prototypes for performance testing along with some accompanying documentation. Then the prototypes will be tested at PNNL, and then after that, the testing results will be returned to you all, to the competitors, and the competitors will submit a final submission package that outlines the progress that has been made in developing the prototype since phase one submission, including challenges that they've faced and any impacts those challenges have had on your design, and other performance goals. Further, participants will describe their microbattery commercialization framework and their manufacturing plan, along with techno-economic analysis. Competitors may include letters of support from potential commercial partners if available. And as you can see, I'm going to go over this a few times throughout this presentation, but something unique about this phase that you all have not encountered in this prize yet is this phase has two different submissions. There is a prototype testing submission package that is going to be due on September 16th of this year, and then there will be a final submission package due April 16th of 2025. So I'll go over this multiple times, but something that is unique is there are two different submissions that we are asking for to be eligible in this phase. Okay, Paul, I think this is one of your slides.
Yes, yeah, back over to me. Just again, providing some additional context from the technical side. Again, this prize is aimed to drive innovations at smaller, more specialized battery designs, so that to enable better performance and even continued shrinking, smaller form factor of advanced sensor systems, as well as medical devices that are intended to be sort of mobile, wearable, implantable. And that is the driving factor, and so we have kept a wide aperture regarding chemical formulations, performance, specific key KPIs, key performance indicators and things, and really leaving it up to you, the participants, the competitors, to tailor your proposal, your design for what you think will make the most impact to your specific application. Next slide, please. So what do we hope to accomplish in phase two? You have submitted your, in phase one, you submitted your ideas for exciting, innovative designs to make improvements and impacts on various sensor systems and application areas. So now that we've selected the ones that we find the most exciting within the budget that we could, what is there to do now? So the work ahead of us or ahead of you is ideally to now make prototypes of those designs that you submitted that excited us so much, and then to help in strengthen the ability of those prototypes to be commercialized, to gain traction in the market. We are providing resources through testing services to help do some quality, solid baseline testing to verify, validate the performance goals that you have laid out. So we need you to make the prototypes and then send them to us so that we can test them. And when you send them to us, we are asking for some basic information to help us calibrate and adjust the testing to be optimized for the prototypes that you send. Additionally, we understand that prototyping, research and development, it changes all the time, and therefore what the prototypes you may encounter challenges or identify different opportunities for changes and tweaks. So we are asking that with that in mind, we are asking that we fully expect that it to be reasonable for the prototypes you send to not exactly match the designs that you submitted in phase one. So just tell us about those changes and the reasoning, like why those changes were made, to help us understand that perspective. And then finally, what goals you have, what your expected or hoped for testing results are, so that we have a baseline or at least some goal to shoot for to compare the actual testing results to. And then finally, with the testing done, we will send the testing results back to you and give you some time to have some thoughtful interpretation. So if they're, ideal scenario, the testing results line up with your wildest hopes for the prototypes, but we recognize that anytime that there is difference or falling short of that, giving you time to react and think about how you would adjust your future plans for development of these designs. So those are the main key things that we are looking for in the work forward and what we are looking for you to submit to us. Thank you, and back over to Alec.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, so quickly we'll go over eligibility. Luckily, everyone here is eligible to compete in phase two. Phase two is only eligible for phase one winners. So congratulations to you all for being a winner in phase one. And so now just you all move on to phase two. It's no longer public. It's just the winners from phase one that will be competing in phase two. And we are asking that in this phase that competitors only be for-profit business entities. So if your company is not yet a business, is not yet have an LLC or some sort of incorporation, please do so and have that ready by the time we do winner announcements, preferably before you submit. That is a requirement now. So if you're not yet a business, please become one. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is there. If you have any specific questions about that, please reach out. I'll be providing links to our emails, well, specifically the prize email. And so happy to answer any questions about that. Okay, important dates and events. So there's several dates that are very important, and I want to make sure that we take a little time to emphasize that. So in phase two, it is already open. Phase two opened in November. And so now we are in the time where hopefully everyone here has, obviously realized that the submissions are open, that the new rules document for phase 2 is public, and hopefully you all have reviewed the rules document and maybe even began working on your prototypes and the accompanying documentation that we're asking to accompany your prototypes. And so the prototype testing submission deadline, as I mentioned, there's 2 submission deadlines. The first one is the prototype testing submission deadline, and that's on September 16th of this year. We're asking that all the prototypes be postmarked by September 16th at the latest and sent to Pacific Northwest National Laboratory. I will be sending shipping information regarding how you are supposed to package and ship these items to Pacific Northwest National Lab, PNNL, and where. I will be sending you all the specific information regarding what the address and who to make this out to. We wanted to privately do that and not publicly produce that in our rules. So that's why you haven't been able to see that yet, and that will be coming soon. So please be on the lookout for that. I will be emailing you all that information once we have it available. And then the competitors, we're asking that you also email the prize administrator, me, at the email address for this prize that we'll make available, that we've made available throughout the length of the prize. We're asking that when you ship your prototypes, to please email us with your shipping confirmation and tracking information by September 16th. Also due on September 16th is the accompanying online documents. Competitors must upload those documents to HeroX by 5 p.m. Eastern time on September 16th. So those are the biggest deadlines coming up right now that I think everyone should be focused on. So the big date is September 16th. Afterwards, we're expecting that the testing will take about 6 months at PNNL, and we are hoping to have the testing results sent back to you all on March 17th, 2025. Those will be sent from PNNL to me, the prize administrator, and Paul, and then we will privately email those results to the teams privately. So each team will receive their testing results, and we're not announcing those publicly. Each team will be provided those testing results on March 17th. And then there is the final submission deadline is April 16th. So the idea is that we provide you all the testing results, and then you have a month to work on your final submission deadline. Hopefully you will have been working on it prior to the month before, but the idea is that you will be able to incorporate the results from the testing into your final submission. So interpreting those testing results, seeing how that affects your plans, and that's really what we're looking for, and why we gave an extra month after you get your testing results for the final submission. But there will be 6 months of testing where they'll be testing at PNNL. So hopefully you all will use that 6 months to really work on the majority of the narrative and the final submission materials that we're asking for. But we do give you that extra month to adjust based on the testing results. And then our goal is to announce the phase 2 winners and the grand prize and runner-ups for this prize in July of 2025. Again, most important date here, next thing due, September 16th. Okay, great. So let's get into submitting for this prize and the multiple submissions that we're asking for here. Again, most important thing, please read the rules document. That is your guide. This webinar is kind of a tutorial and to walk you all through the rules document, but it's not completely in depth. There's more information in the rules document. Please use the rules document as your guide. It will walk you through everything that that you need in order to be successful in this prize. And you will see that we have adjusted originally there was the microbattery design rules that had just phase 1 materials within them. Now at the same link that you had before, that is throughout this webinar, and I'll be emailing you all, and it's also on HeroX under resources for the rules document. We have changed the rules document. It is now the Microbattery Design Prize Phase 2 rules. So it now incorporates all the information you'll need for this second phase. So again, please make sure that you have thoroughly read the rules document and use that as your guide to completing your submissions throughout this phase. Okay, so what I wanted to get into first is what to submit for the prototype testing submission. That is the first submission due September 16th. Again, there will be a physical prototype sent to P&L, and that shipping address will be provided via email to the teams from me. And then along with the prototype, there will be a microbattery testing form. And we're going to go over that today. And that is provided in HeroX under resources. And in the microbattery page under resources, there is the microbattery testing form template. Please use that. And then that will be needed to be submitted via HeroX by September 16th. And along with that, there is also a testing goals narrative. This testing goals narrative is provided in the rules document. That's where you will see that template. And that is also to be submitted via HeroX. So please provide those two additional materials via HeroX. If you don't and you ship them to P&L, they will not be considered valid. Those two accompanying documents must be turned in via HeroX only by September 16th. So we have two different things going on here. One, you're shipping your prototype to P&L, and then you're doing the two accompanying documents and uploading those via HeroX. Okay, so just a little bit of more in-depth information about the physical prototype submission. So please reference section 3.7 in your rules document, in the updated phase 2 rules document, for all the information for the physical prototype submission. What I'm about to go over right now is very brief and not fully in depth. So it'll be really important that you really read that rules document about all of these submissions that are coming up. We're asking that all competitors are required to submit a minimum of 3 prototypes of their microbattery to P&L for prototype performance testing. Performance testing will be done to determine capacity and energy densities. Early submission of microbattery prototypes is highly encouraged, as the submissions will be postmarked after the microbattery prototype submission deadline. Let me restart there. Early submissions of microbattery prototypes is highly encouraged. If the submissions are postmarked after the deadline of September 16th, they will not be accepted. All prototypes need to be postmarked before September 16th in order to be accepted. Competitors are responsible for the cost of shipping their prototypes to the test laboratory at P&L. However, the prize administrator will pay for, the prize will pay for the return shipping of the prototypes to the competitors following testing. And so a little bit more on the prototypes and what we're asking for here. as I said before, each team must submit 3 prototypes per the current density that they would like their battery to be tested against. There are 3 current densities that the battery can be tested against. The teams can pick 1, 2, or 3, all of the densities to be tested against. If a team chooses 1 density, they must provide 3 identical microbatteries. If a team chooses 2 densities, they must provide 6 identical microbatteries. And if a team chooses all 3 densities, they must provide 9 identical microbatteries. If a team has chosen to be tested with more than 1 density, then in the testing goals narrative in section 3.7.3, the team should include justification as to why they have chosen to test their microbattery with more than 1 density. So if you are doing multiple densities, please include justification within your testing goals narrative. Okay, great. And so that leads us off to our another submission material, the microbattery prototype testing form. This prototype testing form, again, is located under the Resources tab in HeroX, and there's a link right to this document within this slide. And again, I'll be sending you all a PDF of all of these slides that we're going over today. And then you can see on the right, there's just a picture of one of the form. There's 3 separate tables depending on the type of micro battery. So this is the one you're seeing here is for primary micro batteries. There's other templates if yours doesn't fall in that realm. So please use the one of the forms available. Just to kind of go over that, we want to make sure that you please complete the table for the expected results from your battery. So we're looking for you to put the expected results that you are hoping to see or expecting to see from the testing at PNNL. Again, there are 3 of these tables available. Please only complete the applicable table for your provided microbattery. Again, each team must submit 3 prototypes per the current density that they would like their battery tested against. The teams can pick 1, 2, or 3 of the densities to be tested against. Yeah, and then just make sure if it's more than one density that you include justification there in the testing goals narrative, which we're going over next.
Yeah, one quick note to reiterate,
Sure.
3 prototypes per current density. So if you'd like it tested at 2 current densities, you will need to send at least 6 prototypes. Just, reiterating that.
Yep, thank you, Paul. Yeah, and if you and continuing, if you want all 3 current densities, then 9. So 3 per current density, 3 prototypes per current density. Thank you, Paul. Okay, and then the final submission material that we're asking for this first submission that accompanies the prototype is the testing goals narrative. The testing goals narrative is also to be turned in as a part of your prototype testing submission package on September 18th. You can locate the testing goals narrative section in section 3.73 of the updated phase 2 rules document located in your resources tab of HeroX. So in the resources tab, you'll find the rules document. Within the rules document, that is where you will find the testing goals narrative. And then within that testing goals narrative, there are 3 questions with a total maximum word count of 500 words. So in question 1, the question is, please describe the specific application of the provided microbatteries. Question 2 is, what is the minimum capacity and energy needed to power those specific devices? And question 3, what is the expected operational lifetime of the microbattery in cycles and time, and what are the key factors that influence the lifetime. So please be sure to fill out this goals narrative, maximum of 500 words for all 3 questions. So make sure that you include a word count with this narrative, and please be sure to answer all 3 questions. Okay, and then essentially you all will send in your prototypes and these accompanying documents that are to be submitted on HeroX, and then PNL will do the testing. And so we anticipate that the testing will take about 6 months. During this time, we recommend that you begin working on your final submission package, which we're going to go over next. After the testing at PNL, the testing results will be provided privately to you all via email from me, and then you all will have a month to incorporate the testing results into the final submission package that is going to be due on April 16th, 2025. Okay, so what is to be submitted for the final submission package? We are asking for a cover page to accompany your narrative, and we're going to go over both of those. And then the narrative will answer 4 questions that we're going to go over. And then you also have 1 summary PowerPoint slide. You all should be familiar with that. You did it the first submission. And then the optional letters of commitment or support. Okay, so the first thing due for that final submission package is the cover page. The cover page should list basic information about your submission, including your project name, team name, short description, your project key members, any other partners, and then your business address, city, state, and your 9-digit zip code. And then kind of the meat of this submission is going to be the narrative. And so the narrative has 4 questions. Please go to the rules document for more details. I'm just briefly going over this. There's lots of criteria and things we're comparing these questions against. So please be sure to fully review your rules document, as there's a lot more details in there. But we have the 4 questions that we want you to answer in 3,500 words or less. You get to pick how the words are distributed across these 4 questions. So if you have a lot more to say for one category than the other, use your words where you want. As you can see, there is we've included how these are going to be scored and what percentage of your of the scoring is going to go to which questions. So I would definitely use that rubric that's also included in the rules document that you can see there on the lower right hand of your screen. I would definitely use that to guide how you answer these questions, and maybe even how you use your word count here, because as you can see, some questions are worth more than others. So please note that. For question 1, we're asking, what progress have you made regarding this design since the phase 1 submission? Question 2, based on previously provided testing goals narrative and testing results received from PNL, have you met, exceeded, or adjusted the performance goals that you have provided throughout this competition, and how? So this question is specifically asking about, based on the goals, the narrative that you provided us in the first submission within phase 2, and the results that you got back from PNL, how has this changed your goals, and how are you incorporating these testing results in moving forward? Question 3 is, what is your plan to commercialize your design? And then question 4 is, what is your plan for manufacturing this design at volumes to meet the expected demand? this portion of your submission is not public. Expert reviewers, prize administrators, and DOE will be viewing these narratives, and everyone does sign an NDA before they access your submission. So keep that audience in mind as you're writing. Okay, and then there is the submission slide. Competitors must make a public-facing one-slide submission summary that introduces the team and/or organization and your mission. There's no template, so competitors are free to present the information in any format. Any text must be readable on a standard printed page, and a conference room projection should use at least 14-point font. So be sure to note this submission summary slide is public facing, and it's to be one submission slide. Okay, and then the final submission material that we're asking for this final submission is letters of support or commitment. These are one-page letters of support, intent, or commitment, from relevant entities, if available. So if there's relevant information that you think should be included, or like a letter of support or commitment from a relevant group, please include that. General letters of support from parties that are not critical to the execution of your solution will likely not factor into your score. Competitors should not submit multi-page letters. You can submit multiple letters, but please be sure that none of the letters are multiple pages, one page per letter. You'll also note in this rules document, there is some language that I'll read. This language was accidentally put into the rules document, and it doesn't apply. So it will be in your rules document at the end of this description that you'll see in the rules document. It will also say, if competitors are working with a utility partner outside of the 3 identified for this prize, they must include a letter of support from the utility partner. Please disregard that language. That was taken from another prize and put in our template, and I missed that. So please disregard the language regarding utility partners. That does not apply for this prize. Okay, so now kind of wrapping this up, how to submit your prototype, accompanying documents, and your final submission. So obviously, I'll be sending you more information on how exactly to send in your prototype and where to send that to. That'll be coming from me in email. But then you also need to submit the accompanying documents and then also your final submission down the road. So be sure to do this the same way that you did before for those accompanying materials in the final submission. Go on HeroX, solve this challenge, and then you'll be able to submit for the first submission, the prototype accompanying documents. You'll be able to do those now. And then once that date has passed, I will then create a second submission where you will do it the same way you did the previous 2 times, and it will open up so that you can submit your final submission package. So right now, if you go to solve this challenge and you go to fill out your form and provide your submission, it will be specifically for the accompanying testing documents. You will not be able to submit your final submission package right now. That will happen after the accompanying documents are after that period is over. So after September 16th. Okay, so what's next? Read the rules. Definitely the most important thing. Please be sure to read the rules. If you have any questions, you can submit those on the HeroX forum, or you can email them to us at microbattery.design@nrel.gov. And then please, as soon as possible, start working on the physical prototypes and those accompanying documents that we went over. And then be sure to submit the physical prototype to P&L by September 16th and the accompanying documents via HeroX on September 16th as well. So that wraps it up for everything that we planned on going over today. So Paul, if you have anything to add, and then we'll go into questions.
Nope, nothing to add. Let's jump right into questions.
Great.
Yeah, I see we have one submitted already. It asks, may I ask if we collaborate with a potential end user, do we need to get support letter from them? In my opinion, I don't think it's needed, but it would certainly help your case. It would be a stronger thing with an official letter of support indicating that collaboration than just informally collaborating and not really letting us know. Official letters of support are kind of a much more official documentation of a relationship, of a collaboration relationship.
Great. Yeah, if you have any questions, Ryan, I'm not sure, do they have speaking access? If not, then I think we'll just ask that all questions be put in the Q&A chat.
Yeah, if you can just submit your questions in the chat or Q&A.
Perfect. And I think we don't see any more, so we'll just hang on here for a few more minutes. But if we don't get any more questions, thank you all so much for attending today. Again, this was recorded, and I will be providing this all to you to present to your teams that weren't able to be here today or to view later. And we're really looking forward to everything. I see a new question has popped up. When shall we expect the phase 1 funding to our account? So most of the teams have already received their phase 1 funding. There were a few teams that changed their names from the beginning of the submission. When we asked in HeroX, we used a specific language saying that please provide the name that if you win, the check should be made out to. If that name changes, there will be significant delays in receiving that funding. And so if you haven't received your funding yet, that's because you had a name change. And so we had to go through some additional steps to get those reviewed and approved. We have just heard yesterday that we have gotten those approvals. So we are expecting to be able to make those final payments to those teams that had their names changed very soon. And in the next few days, we hope to process those payments. We appreciate your patience. Again, unfortunately, that's kind of what happens when those name changes happen. We initially, when the teams win, we push the names through as we had them in our submission materials to get approved. And those were all approved. And we made sure that happened prior to announcing winners, so we could make the payments as soon as possible. But then when the W-9s came back, and if there were name changes, we had to then go through that approval step for those teams all over again. So that's why you likely have not received your payment. But we will be sure to get that to you as soon as we can, and they have been approved. So that will be coming soon.
Alec, can I say something?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So for the microbattery testing, before the applicants send the prototype microbatteries to P&L, my lab, we will assume you have done some preliminary testing, right, on your own side. If you can share those results with us, that will be very, very helpful for us to repeat the similar performance in our lab. In addition to the 3 tables that we provided in the rules of this microbattery design, we covered everything from primary to rechargeable, constant current or pulse current, depending on how are we going to use the microbatteries to power what kind of devices, right? You can also provide the testing procedure to us, say, I would like to test my microbatteries on this current density under these conditions as well. So we will make an evaluation to try our best to maximize your microbattery performances at the conditions that you prefer.
Great, thank you, Jay. And Jay is the one and with her team that will be doing the testing at PNNL. So we're really glad that you could attend today, and so glad that you're working on this prize and doing the testing.
My pleasure, Alec.
Great asset to the prize.
And we have one more question, which is good. It's sort of leaning into what I wanted to mention. Since we have Jay here, if there are any targeted questions about testing and that step of the process, please feel free to ask. So this one says, speaking to the preliminary testing to closely mimic the tests completed at PNNL, will they be completed via constant power or CC or CCCV conditions, or is it dependent on the company?
Yeah, this is a good question. I think this depends on the application of the micro batteries, right? That the company will decide, right? If we are talking about the CCCV, then I assume you are talking about the, rechargeable batteries, right? Because if it's a primary, you don't have to charge it. So it all depends on the application. And actually, PNL will try to mimic the performances that you think your micro battery can do to power the device, not vice versa. I hope that's clear.
Yes, so just another reminder, the reasoning behind submitting the testing packages along with the prototypes to give us to give Jay and her team as much information to help them conduct the testing in a way that will be most useful for your team and the continued work that you hope to do.
Yeah, exactly right.
Looks like we have one more question come in. Can we have other test results different than the PNNL testing? You are free to do that, but we won't be able to provide any resources other than, say, the phase 1 cash prize. So that would be something that you would have to acquire and sort of organize and pay for yourself. But you could include that as part of the submission package, as long as you do not exceed the limits that Alec laid out.
Yeah, so back to this question, right? So PNL is not really, testing the micro batteries to select the best one. I mean, the information will be used by Amateur to select the best one, but we are more like in a position of validating your claims based on the testing conditions you want to use. So, I'm not sure what kind of other test results, because if you can provide the testing conditions, we can do exactly the same testing that you got from the other testing results. So I hope that that's clear.
Yes, and again, to clarify, regardless of whether you get additional testing done and submit that separately as part of your application, the PNNL team will send the results both to you, the contestants, and to us. So we will get PNNL, we will get and incorporate and view and review PNNL's testing results regardless. Okay, one more question. If we have multiple applications, are there any standard for us to choose, best performance or anything else, or can provide sample for both applications. Again, yeah, you are free to provide samples for both applications, and please try and specify the differences in the testing parameters and conditions that you would like for the two different applications, if possible.
Right. Yeah, Paul is right. There is not really any best performance because for some of the micro batteries, for example, right, although they deliver less capacity, less energy, but the performance, I mean, you know, the dimensions of the micro battery is very, very small, and the energy is sufficiently big enough to power certain devices for the required working time, right? For example, some of the sensors, they just need to be powered for like 1 month, but they have certain requirements on the on-site voltage, on the dimension of the micro batteries. So if your micro battery could exactly meet or, you know, go beyond the expectations of certain devices, that will be really very, very good. Although the energy delivered from very restricted volume of the battery may be less than other bigger batteries, right? So it really depends on the application and if you can meet the expectations of certain applications. It's not like the higher energy the better, because you can make batteries bigger to deliver higher or more energy or capacity, which does not make sense, right, for the micro battery powered devices.
Yeah, I fully agree. Again, we give you, the competitors, the contestants, the freedom to sort of choose what performance or what qualities of the battery and the system that it needs to sort of be judged on. That makes our job a bit more difficult. But again, the other side of that coin is that is why the judging rubric has been laid out as it has been, and the submission packet includes sort of the narrative for you to give you the space to give us the information, tell us, help us understand what criteria you would, and so we will be judging the performance, as it were, and sort of the prototypes and their testing results. We will be judging them based on the context and the goals that you tell us about. And then I see there has been a question entered into the chat that says, where can I find a template for rechargeable battery testing metrics? Maybe Jay, is there any answer you think you can give to this?
Yeah, I think it's included in the document that Alex just provided a link to download.
Yes, it is. It's one of the 3 tables, is specifically a template for rechargeable batteries. And also going back to the question prior about the multiple applications, I'm assuming that this refers to the applications of the micro battery. Each team should only be submitting 1 submission packet. You know, I'm assuming that you're speaking about applications as to how your micro battery will be applied, and not the application or the submission package. There should be only 1 submission package per team. You know, obviously there's 2 different submissions, but this should be based on the winning submission that you all had in phase 1. And again, it should just be 1 type of micro battery. You know, you should not be submitting multiple submission packages for each of the 2 submissions that we have. It's a little complicated to say because we have 2 submissions, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure that that word applications, that's how you were intending it to be used there.
Yes, and it is, we're in the final moments of the slotted time we have for today's webinar, but I will also mention, and it is a balance, it is a trade-off. If you would like to have testing done for multiple applications, if you would like to do work for adjusting your your design for multiple applications, then it is helpful for you to explain to us why you feel like your battery's design being able to fit multiple applications has a greater impact, has a stronger sort of chance versus a single application versus within the submission package describing a single application for that battery and providing, say, maybe more details or having the battery design more specialized or tailored for that single application, if that makes sense. It's a balance. It is up to you to go about constructing your submission, your work and your submission package however you feel is strongest.
Great. Well, we're at time, so I want to make sure that we give everybody time back today. And thank you all so much for attending. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out again on the HeroX forum or at the Microbatteries. Email microbattery.design@nrel.com. Actually, hold on. Let me make sure I'm saying that one right. Sorry, I have a lot of prize emails. Microbattery.design@nrel.gov. If you're looking for the fastest response, I would email that email address that we will likely see before the forum, but you're free to ask your questions wherever you would like. Okay, we've got one more question. I'd like to give some time to answer that if possible.
Cell level. This is a microbattery design, not a materials design, right? So the meaning is to do electrode level, materials level, cell level. Everything has to be calculated.
Great, thank you, Jay. Okay, yeah, if you have any more questions, again, email us. We'll be happy to get those back to you. Thank you all so much for attending today, and good luck.
Thanks, Alec. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.